Awesome. Thank you, Jen. I know putting all these things together is a lot of work. So thank you for gathering us. And Mike and Jordan and Melissa and Ajax and iPhone. It's nice to be here with you guys. As Jen said, it is, I think, a day before August or something. And so I know that time is hard to capture in summer. So I am happy to be here with all of you guys. Because we're a small group, please, if you have thoughts or questions or ideas, jump in. I'll try to talk as little as possible so that we can be in discussion as much as possible. So with that being said, I'll share my screen. I'm going to go into presentation mode. I'm just going to walk you guys through one slide about who we are, but much more importantly, our philosophy around the work that we do with small businesses. My background, my name is Carissa Reiniger. I'm the founder and CEO of Silver Lining. I started the company 20 years ago, and I like to pretend I started it when I was 5, but that's unfortunately not true. But we have spent 20 years doing everything we can to understand why it's so hard to grow a small business, how to help small businesses succeed, and ultimately how to live at our mission, which is to change the global economy one small business at a time. As you can see here, we've been in business for 20 years. We just had our 20-year anniversary on April 25th, which was a lot of fun. Michael Schumann was in New York for it, actually. So we got to spend some great quality time together. We've helped over 70,000 small businesses have used our small business growth program. We have small businesses in 79 countries who use this platform that I'll show you guys. Our staff live and work in 23 countries, and we've got Juan here from Ecuador and Kiki here from South Africa as well, which is a nice representation of our amazing team around the world. Our team and our community speak 19 different languages, and we do thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of human support with small businesses every year in one-on-one connection. So I'm going to walk you through my philosophy on why being tech-enabled and data-driven is critical so that we can scale and we can help people effectively. But what I hope you also hear is a really, really, really deep commitment to human support, relationship, really understanding the reality of small businesses and meeting them where they're at. We've done all sorts of things in the last 20 years. We've been featured and won awards. And what our hope is that as we do the work we do in the world of small business, that we can be helpful to not just the small businesses we serve, but to the industry, our peers in the small business industry, who I know all of you in this room are also on this sort of valiant mission to try to really figure out how to help small businesses succeed. And it's hard work. It's lifetimes of work, I always say. I'm 20 years in, but we're just getting started. These are the values that we run and lead Silver Lining by. We're small business first. Every single thing we do, whether it's our finance department, our customer team, our dev team, the question is always, is this best for small businesses? So everything we do is small business first. Our values are global, justice, audacious, integrated, others-oriented, responsible, and fun. Hopefully we'll have fun together today. That would mean that we've had a good day. These are the small businesses that we serve. I know that one of the problems in the small business industry is that we all define small business a little bit differently. These are real small businesses that use our program from across the US, but we define small business as owner-operated, so they're actively running their small business. They are self-funded, so they've leveraged revenue, savings, or maybe small loans to build their business, but they're not venture capital funded. They're not raising millions to sell for billions. They're revenue generating. They don't have ideas. They're not startups. They're real businesses that are generating revenue. It's not a side hustle. This is their full-time job and their primary source of income. So they're fully committed to growing their small business. They're really focused on building profitable, sustainable, organic growth. Those are probably not the words they would use. Those are the words we would use. But they're not focused on sort of unprofitable scale. They're really trying to figure out how to build a business that generates profitable, sustainable revenue. They're committed to their growth. One of the things we'll talk about is that my background's in psychology, not in traditional business. And so the whole method that I built and the platform that we have is based in behavior change science. And one of the tenets of behavior change science is that you can't change somebody that is not ready to change. And so for all of you that work with small businesses every day, I'm sure you've had many experiences where you're trying to help them do something, understand something, change something. if they don't want to, there's nothing that any of us can do. And so we do a lot of our work around this concept of commitment being a choice, and that each of us are responsible ultimately for our own choices. Right now, the platform and all of the support is in English and Spanish. Arabic and Slovak are the languages that are coming soon. And it is a tech platform with a really simple to use low data app, but the small business owner would have to have a computer and or mobile phone and basic connection to data to be able to use it. I say this in every room, in every country around the world, no matter who's in it, but we welcome business owners from all industries, locations, races, religions, gender expressions, sexual orientations, physical abilities, neurodiversities, and backgrounds. And the thing that makes our global community so phenomenal is how beautifully different everyone is. The diversity is what makes it so special. As I sort of give you a bit of context around how we think about the work, I have 2 slides that sort of talk about the industry that we all have in common, this small business industry. We have, I would say, a fairly strong point of view, but it's based in 20 years of work and a huge amount of data and working with tens of thousands of small businesses, that really there's a call to action for all of us in the small business industry to change and rethink how we do what we call technical assistance and access to capital. And what we mean by that really specifically is that the current reality for almost all small business technical assistance or training programs or whatever we would small business support programs, advisory, is that they have usually 4 things in common. They're focused on training. They usually involve intermittent coaching and mentorship. There is usually a focus on short-term programs, boot camps, accelerators, and they're usually free. From a behavior design point of view and a psychology point of view and a sort of how you help people accomplish goals and become higher performing, there's a lot of flaws in these 4 common traits of how we typically do small business training and growth. So what we are proposing or what we believe is that instead of focusing on training, we as an industry need to design for behavior change, because while education builds knowledge, what small businesses really need to succeed is they have to change their actions. They need to actually adjust their behaviors in order to get different results. So we believe designing for behavior change is the call, as opposed to just continuing to always do training. What we see in our data is that intermittent coaching and mentorship is better than nothing, but what businesses really need is comprehensive and consistent support that provides adequate levels of accountability to make real change. If we think about any of our own selves, if I want to build a 6-pack, if I every once in a while meet with a personal trainer and every time I talk to them, we're starting at the beginning and they're asking me what I need, I'm never going to build a 6-pack. But if I talk to a personal trainer every day for 5 minutes and they have me on a program and they hold me accountable to doing my reps, I will build a 6-pack. And so there's a real, in behavior change science, there's a real focus on consistent, comprehensive, and long-term, which I'll talk about, accountability and support that allows for us to have enough structure to actually create the change we need to get to the outcomes that we want. The short-term programs that have really become the norm, if you look at sort of almost all the things that we all offer the world, 8-week boot camps, 10-week programs, 16-week accelerators, what the science would say is that that is a long enough time to create maybe ahas or realizations or small shifts. But to create real change, the type of change that will actually create different results and outcomes, really requires long-term sustained structure. So if you think about Weight Watchers as a really popular behavior modification program, people that sign up for Weight Watchers for 90 days will lose weight. But the data is astounding at how many will then gain the weight back within about 6 months and usually gain more weight. And so to create the type of change that we want to see in small businesses where their behaviors change in such a way that they have an actual impact on their long-term success, we need to build the habit of success. And building the habit of success takes a long time. It can't be done in a short-term program. And then free. This is a very controversial point of view that I have, and I'm happy to debate it. I have had every disagreement humanly possible on this, so I'm ready for it with all of you. I don't mind. But in the world of behavior change science, if someone is not committed to the change you're trying to take them through, the chance that it's going to work is almost zero. So when we say to a small business owner, hey, I've got funding for this thing, come do it, it's free, we think we're giving them a gift. What's probably true is that you're decreasing the chance of success that it will work for them and for your own sort of organization. And so we're a big believer in justice as opposed to philanthropy or aid. And the definition of justice is to build systems that are fair and reasonable for all. And I don't think it's fair and reasonable for small businesses to get really valuable support for free. I think it is reasonable that they pay an amount they can afford to pay that is fair and reasonable. And what happens in that moment is you shift the dynamic from it being a power dynamic or an aid dynamic to being a business a transaction, a fair and just relationship. And they're committed to the process. And so when you get their commitment to something, the chance of it working goes up dramatically. So we believe very strongly in these things, and we've designed our entire platform and the way we work small businesses against these principles. Now, the other big conversation in the world of small business is, of course, access to capital. How do we solve this need, this issue that everyone thinks that they want to lend more to small businesses, but they can't find businesses to lend to, and every business wants capital, but they always get denied? The current reality around small business debt financing specifically is that it's usually a lending first, technical assistance second, if at all, model. So people will give a loan and then offer business advisory on the side. Approvals are historically and chronically based on credit scores and requests for collateral or personal guarantees. Low diversity rates are in the system because privilege is really breeding privilege. And instead of us acknowledging that the system is eliminating people from getting a loan, we're saying, well, of course, everyone can't get a loan. Look, all the people that get loans are like this. And the instinct in the industry is for a low repayment rate to lead to collections, which of course perpetuates all the systemic issues we see. So our philosophy and the lending solution that we built are to actually use technical assistance first. We believe that the first prerogative of the way to help businesses is to make sure that they've got the right plan to grow their business, and then to right size the capital they receive against a strategic plan for their business. So we give loans to small businesses, but we will only give them to them after at least a minimum of 6 months of good behavior using our platform. Because what we're trying to check for is not just that they're credit worthy, but that they actually have a business model that's going to work, that they're set up for success. If they take on this debt, it's not going to sink them. It's going to help build a business that is viable and profitable and sustainable. The second thing that we've done is we underwrite loans to small businesses based 100% on the behavioral data in our software. We do not look at credit scores. We don't ask for financial statements. We ask for no personal guarantees and no collateral. We believe that when you give small business owners equal access to structure and support, and then they choose how they behave within that system, that indicator of their credit worthiness, their behavior, their natural instincts is a much better evaluation criteria than looking at all their credit score details. The reality is that small businesses will max out their credit cards, miss payments, have cash flow issues. I had a terrible credit score for the first 12 years of building my business. I mean, it is because of these systemic issues that we sort of go around in circles. So, and that really comes to creating the even playing field. And then we have a no collections policy. We believe that if you're going to work with small businesses, you need to normalize cash flow problems. Every small business will face them. And instead of penalizing small businesses when things are hard, we believe that that's when we double down. And so because we offer the technical assistance first, when we see a small business owner struggling with repayment, we don't send them to collections. We actually give them more support from the technical assistance team. We do more support. We do more intervention, more strategic. We invest more deeply in them when we see that they're struggling. We don't write them off. And so these are seemingly minor shifts in thinking, but I would argue that they're significantly different in what it ends up doing in terms of the support a small business gets. This is our I'm going to pause that. This is our platform, and that's a 21-minute demo video that I will not play right now, but I'm happy to send to all of you guys if you want it. But the platform that we've built, we've spent about $14 million US building it. We're on the 8th version of it, but it is a tech-enabled, data-driven, behavior change, science-based platform that helps the small business owner build a growth plan for their business. So they build their plan in 2.5 hours. That plan includes their values, the habits they want to build, who their ideal client is, what they do, who they do it for, their financial model, their sales targets, their pricing strategy, their sales, their marketing, and their business development plan. And it is built in entirety in under 3 hours. The software guides them through it. They can have unlimited human support if they want help making strategic decisions. But once that plan is built, as we say, the work has just begun. Then, once the plan is built for the next 12 months, we use the over 400 data points we're capturing, the algorithms we're running to look for patterns and behavior, tech-enabled support, and most importantly, human interventions and community support to help the small business owner get all of the structure and support that behavior change science says all of us as human needs to optimize their behaviors to hit the goals that they set. And our mission is to help them hit their sales goals. The reason that we think that matters is that from an economic justice point of view, we want people to have power and agency so that they can fight for equality on their own terms. If they, whatever their lived experience is, whether it is the body they were born in, their gender, their race, we believe that if people have basic economic security and agency, then we can start to shift all the other issues in the world because it won't be us doing it for people. People will be able to do it with their own power. And so our program is deeply focused on this one primary outcome, which is that the business owner hits their sales goals and achieves profitability and sustainability, so that they are defining success on their own terms and are able to then build their life and their family and their community on their own terms. As I say that, this is very hard work. I am under no illusion that we've got it all figured out, and I do not ever pretend that this is easy. There's common challenges. Like I mentioned before, we've got hundreds of partners around the world. We work with small businesses in 79 countries, and the challenges are exactly the same everywhere and all the time. The challenges that we run into when we're trying to support small businesses is their trust of us. You know, small businesses, especially those who have lived through systemic injustice or have been, marginalized for a long time, they don't trust new people. They don't trust new things. They don't trust white women, all for very, very good reasons, quite frankly. And so we spend a lot of our time being very intentional about what it means to build trust, knowing that that is a common barrier that we don't fight against, we understand and try to live in. Business owners have very vast degrees of technical skills. Sometimes business owners don't know how to open up a Zoom call. Sometimes business owners can't figure out how to log into the software. Sometimes they don't know how to find the app on their phone. And sometimes they're super savvy and, the tech is not the issue, but it's a mindset that we need to shift. So our team is equipped and trained to really understand those realities and work through them with business owners. And then language, because we operate in so many countries, small businesses that use SLAP speak many different languages. For many of them, English is their second language. In the US context, the majority of the businesses that we encounter do speak English or Spanish. So we have less of this problem in the US context, but in other regions, there's a lot of localization we have to do around language. For our partners, the three things that come into play if we were to partner with any of you guys, for example, the three things that we know will be a rub that we always have to work through with our partners is the relationship. All of you guys do incredible work in your local communities, on your local main streets. You probably have spent a long time and a lot of energy building relationships with the small businesses you work with. The last thing you want is for you to, to feel like we're just coming in and taking over those relationships. So we're very, very intentional. We want to be the secondary partner in the relationship. We want you to be the primary partner. We want to be a resource to you to help you help as many small businesses as possible in your communities. Small business buy-in. Small businesses are busy, overwhelmed, pulled in a million directions. Maybe you're already offering them programs and offerings. How do you help a business owner get access to yet another thing in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming? And then organizational capacity and buy-in. One of the great sadnesses I have in the world is that so many of the good people trying to help small businesses are chronically under-resourced. There's not enough budget. There's not enough people. There's not enough capacity. So figuring out how we work with our partners to make sure this feels like a solution to those issues, not yet another thing to do, is something that we're very focused on. The last couple things I'll say, and then I'd love to just get into conversation with all of you. These are examples of partners that we work with. And when we build partnerships, we are always incredibly focused on trying to make sure we have the same small business profile we're trying to serve. We want the thing we have in common to be the businesses that we're deeply committed to serving and supporting. We always want to have partnership objectives stated up front. Like, what are we here to accomplish together? Maybe for one of our partners, the idea that they could have just a ridiculous amount of data from a platform would be really helpful to them. But for a different partner, they need to think about cost savings because their budgets are getting cut. Maybe for a different partner, they want to de-risk their small business investments. And so by putting their small businesses onto Slap as they give them loans, it does that. So we really believe that everything we need to do needs to be small business first, but then also very clearly defined shared objectives of what it is we want to accomplish together. The reason that I care about this so much, the reason that I believe so deeply in partnering with people like you guys and doing this work together and doing as much of this work as humanly possible with the years I have on this planet, is that I am 100% convinced after 20 years of this, that when small businesses succeed, like, everyone in the world benefits. Families have opportunities, jobs are created, communities are restored, the economy grows in a more just way. The question of helping small businesses is not a small business issue. It's not even a small business industry issue. It's a macroeconomic justice issue. And so when we think about every way that I believe we can all make the world better, every small business that succeeds moves us in the direction of a better world. So that's why we care about this so much. And last but not least, this is how we form our partnerships. And I won't spend too much time on this, but first we customize the partnership. So there's a lot of ways that we can customize how we work together to make sure it meets the needs of your organization and your small businesses. Again, everything is small business first and about alignment between our organizations, not, selling something. Then we kick off the partnership. The kickoff phase is where we do a lot of training. We've discovered that if your team's not really well trained on all of this, it just falls apart very quickly. So we try to think of this as like a professional development opportunity for your staff, your team. We meet and speak regularly. We give you full access to the platform and all the data. We create all the materials for you. We build enrollment plans. Our team leads all of that. Then we set a minimum number of small businesses that we want to enroll together. And we spend time enrolling and getting to that minimum number. As we do that enrollment, we keep tweaking and tweaking and tweaking how we work together. Our mission is to keep learning together how to do the work that is needed in your community. And then we hope that we together forever do the long-term work of supporting the small businesses on your main street and in your community. So that's our thinking. Last but not least, what I did want to share, and this is part of what made sort of Jen and Michael and I excited about this, is that we, thanks to Wells Fargo, have a collaboration in the US where Wells Fargo has funded our platform for up to 2,500 small businesses across the US. And we've got about 500 spots left of those 2,500 that are unclaimed. So what that would mean is that if this was helpful to your organization, you get it at zero cost. So anything where there would be a pricing barrier, Wells Fargo's paid for you guys to have these spots. So we are really interested in finding great partners across the US who get excited about doing something like this, a modern approach to technical assistance, a new program to bring, a new offering to bring, and to bring you into that relationship. So the fun part of all of this is that if any of this seems at all interesting, we've got these 500 spots already paid for by Wells Fargo that we can give to your organizations to bring to small businesses in your community. So that's the punchline, which is hopefully a fun punchline. So I'll pause there. Jen, I absolutely want to make sure you get a chance to jump in if there's thoughts or ideas or things that you want to add into the conversation, and then we can all just talk. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I'm happy to share anything and everything about my own journey building this, the learnings I've had, and anything that I can learn about you guys and really how I can be helpful to you or we can be collaborative together. I'm excited to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carissa and Kiki and Juan, for being here today. Excuse me. Just know that there are about 35 people who are going to be watching this later on. So that's why I wanted to just let you all know that I am going to be sending this recording out.
Right.
And so this is just the beginning, kind of like Carissa said, of a relationship. So as we have this conversation, just know there are other people who are going to be watching later and hopefully we'll be reaching out. So Thanks again.
Awesome. Ajax, can I just say, I love your question so much. That is such a good question. Yes. Okay. So, I actually have a conundrum around this. This is a very transparent conversation that I've had with Wells Fargo, and they would not mind me saying out loud. One of the ways that money flows, I'm sure this happens to all of you guys too, is that money flows, and then people say, I'm giving you this money, so it has to be free for everyone else. And I always say to them, but that's not helping anyone. Like, I don't like that idea, but I get it. But like, subsidize it, don't pay for it, or like, let's help more people so they can pay less. So this is a conundrum I have. And most money that flows from governments and corporations has this requirement on it that you must use the money to make things free for the end user. The agreement we have with Wells Fargo is that you, the partner, don't have to pay anything, which I actually don't think is a good idea, but I can roll with it. And then the small businesses have an access for all policy. So they have to pay something, but the small business chooses what they pay. So in the US context, the other 2,000 spots that are already being used, the small businesses, the retail price of SLAP is $300 a month for everything, all the unlimited support, all the pieces. In the US, I think our small businesses that are part of this Wells Fargo program are paying on average of like $25 a month, and as little as $1 a month, and as much as probably like $200 a month. So when the business is on board, they get to a screen that says, thanks to Wells Fargo, this has been subsidized for you. But you need to be committed to this. Don't take one of these spots if you're not serious. Don't waste this opportunity. Give it to somebody else. You choose an amount that you're willing to pay that is aligned with your current financial reality. So that's how we've handled it in this instance. But it's a great question. Thank you. Very astute question. My goal, just as a side note, I wish I had more power in the world than I do, but my goal would be to convince funders like Wells Fargo, like the SBA, like all the, powers that be, to move money into the world as they keep doing. But to shift the thinking around this idea of having to be free. Like for example, I would love to be saying to all of you guys in this room, listen, Wells Fargo is subsidizing as many spots as you want. Take 50 of them, but then I'll give you another 50 at whatever amount you can afford to pay. And now let's help 100 businesses together over the next 2 years. We can use this Wells Fargo money. We can use a little bit of your budget. We'll use a discount from me. And like, let's do more together, right? Like, let's build something that's not based on all these freebies and short-term thinking. Like, let's really get into it together. That would be my dream. That's how I think that's how I think that subsidized capital could really empower real systemic change. Such a good question. What else?
I'm going to let other people
Speechless.
speak, but so you don't have to answer my question if somebody else comes through, but I'm just wondering, what are your other partners like? What's their focus and goal?
Yeah, it's a great. So our partners usually fall into one of three categories. They're typically sort of in the world of economic development. So community organizations, economic development agencies. Interestingly, I would say we do more at a hyper local level than at like a state or a federal level. I enjoy that more. I think that people like all of you who are working on main streets and are really hyper local, your small businesses better, their needs better. I think we do better work at the hyper local level in partnership. So we do a lot of what I would call hyper local partnerships with economic development agencies, local organizations. That's sort of one category. We do a lot of work with financial institutions. So big players like JP Morgan Chase, Bank Saudi and Riyadh, Wells Fargo, obviously, big financial institutions, and then a lot of work with CDFIs and community banks, where we do sort of what I would call like values aligned programs that allow them to expand the capacity of their technical assistance without having to hire more staff. And oftentimes they're marrying our program with their own lending. So they're saying, okay, either we'll give everyone that we had to decline for a loan, we'll put them on SLAP for a year, try to help them, build a more robust business and then come back and apply again. Or in some instances, what I always advocate for is, take all the people that are at the very bottom cusp of an approval that you just don't know what to do with. They're too risky to approve. give them the loan and a slap, and let us help those small businesses take that capital and even out their journey. So those are that. So that, and then the third actually sort of area that we do more and more is actually franchises. Franchisors will often put all their franchisees onto the program, and that way they're increasing the chance of that franchisee succeeding, which of course then improves the chance of success of the franchisor. So that's a good question. Ajax has another question. I like Ajax questions. You know what? He just like throws them in chat and then walks away and leaves this crazy, creepy bird staring at me. It's very compelling conversational strategy. Given your goal for long-term commitment, how long is Wells Fargo and other partner relationships? You're good. You ask good questions, Ajax. So Wells Fargo is annual, and we have to go back to the drawing board and, renegotiate, renew on an annual basis. Wells Fargo, and they would say this if they were in the room, they've actually been an incredible partner. I can't say enough about Chris Johnson and the people that we're working. I mean, they've been really quite fabulous. But they've been going through a huge number of changes. And so this sort of annual renewal thing has been largely based in the fact that every year their strategy shifts a little bit. Our hope would be, and what we talk about a lot is those big partnerships, they need to be 5 years. Like you need enough time to make real change and not get stuck in annual cycles. So that would be my hope. Our regular relationships, the ones where we're just working directly with partners like you guys, they're month to month. And the reason we do that is that we want the partnership to be so good that we choose to stay in it. And we don't want it to be thought of as an annual. We want to have a minimum number of small businesses we want to work with together, hit that enrollment goal, and then for as long as is humanly possible, keep working together. So our hope would be that all of our partners are forever. The number of businesses we're supporting might go up and down. The way we understand how to help people might change. We might need new customizations but we build every contract as month to month. We agree to a minimum number of small businesses and a minimum number of months, just so that we have time to try to get into a groove. And then our hope is it just goes forever. And people only pay for the number of small businesses that are active, and no other fees. So we try to keep the contract really fair, really clean, really just, and centered on a shared desire to do good work for the long term. Are there other questions? Ajax, I think you probably got more for me. I'm ready. Okay, Evangeline, as Ajax thinks of his next question. Your strategy makes perfect sense from my experience at economic dev and in my rural community. Do you see your strategies being modeled by others in your layer of delivery? Great question. I also love that you said rural. One of the things that we've been very excited about is that we see a big amount of growth in energy in rural small businesses, because they are the ones that get such a small amount of support. Because if they don't live close to a center where there's an office or a physical space or a SBDC office or whatever they're going to, they feel so far removed. So the irony is that a lot of people assume that because we're, a tech-enabled tool, rural businesses would be less interested in it. They're, maybe they're not tech savvy enough. We've had the opposite experience. They're some of our highest adopters because it's so helpful and it's available to them in their pocket if they're on their farm or if they're in their local flower shop. So just want to say that, because I think that's a part of our work that I really love, is more rural. And the answer, I'm going to answer this very frankly. The answer is no. I don't see a lot of how we do things being modeled in a lot of economic development work. And that is not to say that I think we're the best by any stretch. And it's not to say that I think what we do is the only way to do things. But I do feel a deep level of concern about what I think the industry standard is around economic development. I do think that there is if I speak freely, I think there's an indictment of all of us in the small business industry that we need to look at. Globally, we spend billions and billions and billions of dollars a year doing small business support, advisory, economic development, lending. And the failure rate of small business has stayed the same. We can't correlate all of our effort and spend to direct results. And so that means there's something about what we're doing that I think needs to change. Again, I'm not proposing that we've got it all figured out, because I think every day we learn something new. And after 20 years, I think we're just starting to get good at what we do. Like, this is lifetimes of work. And we are imperfect in every possible way. But no, what I don't see in the industry globally is this level of using technology and data to optimize human support as opposed to replace it. What I see is an instinct to either be hyper human, know everything on a spreadsheet, everything in written notes, no technology is bad, or hyper tech, right? Everyone's launching a chatbot or a resource center. Everyone needs to stop launching resource centers. No small business is going to a resource center to download a tool. I mean, it's like, that's not realistic. So what I think we're doing that I really believe in is that we're using a lot of technology and I think we're really at the cutting edge of AI and data and technology, but it's to enable deep human support, not to eliminate it. So that is a part of it that I really believe in. And the other part of it that I really believe in that I think is unique or that I don't see in other places is like this really deep partner model. I think our industry is fragmented because we often fall into the trap of competing for dollars or competing for status or making sure that our program's the best program. And we're very interested in a collective model. We want to release co-branded impact reports that say together, look what happened in this community. And now all of us can learn from this. Like, how do we all do things that would be better? So those are the two things I think are probably specifically different about how we approach it. But I would say in general, I do not see adequate levels of innovation, in my opinion, in how we're helping small businesses as a global truth. That is true in every country, not just the US. Given you're a tech-enabled tool, what's your current approach to AI? Ajax is just throwing all, Ajax, you and I need to go for coffee. You've got good questions. We are all in on AI, but with the caveat, with like lots of caveats. We are all in on AI to infuse it into our platform. I do not think that AI is the answer to all small business problems. I do not think that every small business needs to become, AI agentic masters. I think AI can and will be very helpful for small businesses, and I think they should use it to try to enable all their, mundane tasks. Of course, we are a tech company. We've got a dev team and we've got a product team. We're uniquely equipped to leverage AI to do our work even better. So how we're integrating AI into our platform right now is that the plan that the businesses build, that plan they build in 2.5 hours. Right now, what happens is they listen to short training videos. We ask them questions, they input their answers. We turn that into a plan for them. And so it's very algorithmic based. That's going to advance to being AI driven and optimized. So it'll still use all of our common knowledge, all the trends and patterns from all of our other small businesses. But now AI will add a layer on top of optimization to say, oh, like you live in this zip code. This is your ideal client profile. You sell your product for this much. You should really make sure you do these 3 things too. So we're building like agents inside of our platform to help build better, more specific plans, but still in that 2.5-hour period. So the small business won't experience it feeling different, but we know that the quality of the plans they're building in that 2.5 hours are going to be better and better. The second thing that we're doing is that we're using AI to comb through our data. So right now, we collect over 400 data points on every small business in live time. And we have algorithms running through that data, looking for patterns in behavior. And the patterns in that behavior will then open a ticket, which basically the software is saying, hey, this small business needs help. Maybe they don't know it yet, or maybe they don't know how to ask for help, or maybe they're embarrassed or ashamed, or whatever the reasons are, they haven't asked for help. We see that they need it. And the ticket gets the software tries to resolve the ticket. So it'll send them a text and an email and a WhatsApp message, whatever their preferred communication styles are. And then if we can't get the issue to resolve itself, then it will get assigned to a human. And one of our SLAP experts will jump in and do a human intervention to help get to that outcome. AI is going to make the way we comb through that data to find patterns in behavior to open those tickets a lot more savvy. So we're using AI in that. Again, the small business will experience nothing different, but our ability to do these really hyper customized human interventions is going to get incredibly effective, which is really exciting. And then the third thing we're playing with, we don't know our answer to this yet. So we're in our own innovation experiment on this, is could we integrate AI into the platform to start doing mundane tasks for the businesses related to their business development. As an example of that, the first one we're testing is we teach small businesses how to just do sales. Most small businesses want to like write social posts all day long, but sometimes they just need to pick up the phone and call customers and try and make sales happen. So we're looking at, can we build an agent inside of our own platform that learns enough about the small business that they can build, for example, the sales list. These are the best 100 people to call, and here are their phone numbers. Start calling. So we're trying to figure out, of the things that we're helping the businesses do to grow their business, how many of those things could we get the prep work done or the administrative work done for them, feed it into their action plan, and then help them just get it done. So that's our current thinking on AI right now. But it is all, you guys know this, it's all the buzz. Our small businesses want to talk about AI all day long, every day, even though that's not the number one thing they should be talking about right now. And Evangeline, I am just yes anding, right? Positive outcomes are seen as anomalies. And that's such a shame. I am so with you on that. And I I know for a fact small businesses can succeed. We see it every day. If we give them the right structure and support, if we use all of our collective resources to do right by them, they can and they do succeed. I believe that to my core. There is absolutely no reason that 80% of these people need to fail. And by the way, I think it's probably more than that. These are talented, ambitious, creative, resilient people who work hard. They can succeed. We have got to figure out how to give them the right structure and support to enable their success. And it should be the anomaly. My hope would be, my prayer would be, that in my lifetime I can prove that. I don't know. I don't think I'll get the success rate to 80% of my lifetime, but I want to be able to prove, Evangeline, to your point, that success is not an anomaly. If they're not succeeding, we haven't got the right structure and support around them. And that's on us to figure out as an industry. That's a solvable problem that I think we can solve. AJAC average revenue level for the US based clients is on the low end. So 40% of our customers are solopreneurs, 40% have under 5 employees, including themselves, and 20% have like 5 to 20 employees. Usually those are part-time or seasonal staff. So if you own a bakery, you might have 11 staff because people are working shifts here and there. Average revenue is as low as like 40,000 US dollars a year. That's obviously primarily the solopreneurs. On the high end, highest end, a couple $1 million a year. The real bulk, though, would be between about 100,000 and 500,000 a year in annual revenue. That would be the significant majority, would be in that range. And on the lower end of that range, I would say I think the last time I saw this stat was a couple of weeks ago. I think our average revenue in the US was $249,000 for the small businesses. And again, there's anomalies pulling that data in both directions, but it's true blue small businesses, non-venture backed, owner operated, run that business all day long, never have enough time, never have enough money, need more customers, feel like they're overwhelmed. Those are our people. Jordan. So you guys are asking me all the questions to say all the things that I shouldn't say when I'm being recorded. Have I partnered with SBDCs or mostly government funded organizations before? Yes, we have a lot, over and over and over and over and over again. Jordan, who do you work for? Do you work for the SBDC?
Yeah, I'm with the Southwest Colorado SBDC.
Okay, so all right, see, it's a good thing I asked that before I answered honestly. No, I think that the SBDCs could change America. Let me start there. Like, I actually think that the infrastructure is in place. Like, SBDC will change America well before I ever will. You guys have all the structure. Our experience has been working with many like SCORE offices, SBDC offices, that 3 things typically happen. One is historically it has been true that there's been a really strong advocate for bringing this into the work in the region by one person who's usually a very modern thinker, wants to change things. And then that person experiences a lot of resistance from the rest of the staff. So that is a common challenge we've had. Another common challenge we've had specifically with like the SBDC and the SBA offices that we've worked with in the US are that somehow the dynamic turns to feeling competitive. Like if SLAP really works, it somehow feels like an indictment on the other programs that have been running, and then all the funding that they get from the government So there's a little funky thing that happens around that I think is very solvable, but we have run into that as a pattern. And then the third thing has been just turnover, that when we've gotten through those barriers with a couple, and then we finally have some momentum, and then the person leading it leaves and someone new comes in, and then it has to start from the beginning. So attrition on the team has been, so those would be the three reasons why it hasn't worked. I think 1,000%. It would be, if I could wave a magic wand in terms of the US market, if Silver Lining could partner with like the SBA, SBDC, all, and like bring all of our resources together and like do a campaign to help 100,000 small businesses, like I think we could change the American economy. So that is my dream. I have been unsuccessful at fulfilling my dream so far, but maybe you can, maybe we can dream together, Jordan. Evangeline, are you familiar with Melanie Reback's business model? She's an American Netherlander. I think you process with the model she delivers would be a perfect combination. Okay. It's funny. I have heard Melanie's name, but I do not know her business model. So, Evangeline, I'm going to make a note to follow up with you and to do my research on her. That's great. Thank you. Jen had to step out, we know, a couple minutes early, but anything else? And specifically, maybe, I mean, of course, I'm happy to answer questions, but is there any way that we can be helpful to you, each other? Is there anything that's coming up for any of you guys? I would love to know how either, I could be helpful, we could be helpful. Any other thoughts from you guys? I don't want to make any assumptions or walk away without finding all of our ways to collaborate. We seem to be a typing group more than a talking group. So I'm just going to watch the chat. I'm going to give everyone a second to type. Evangeline. Great. Evangeline, take some of these Wells Fargo spots. Okay, I'm writing you down. How many do you want? We're going to block them aside for you.
This is Evangeline.
What was that?
This is Evangeline.
Hi, Evangeline. Oh, I've been saying your name wrong. I'm glad you said it properly so I could say it right.
I'm interested in 5 of those slots and maybe more, because what's happening, we are actually developing a milkweed economy.